State footy returns again on Saturday, May 31, with the Peter Jackson VFL taking on the SANFL. It's time to announce the initial squad for the VFL, and we caught up with coach of the state team, Damian Carroll, to find out the side. Damian, we're down to 40 in the selected VFL state squad. How did we get down to 40?
Yeah, certainly a tough ask, Anthony, to get the squad down. We noticed there's been some good form across the first 6 or 7 weeks of VFL football, and it's been quite a challenge to get the squad down, and we certainly must emphasise that, as in most occasions, guys can come outside that squad and still play for the VFL side, but you know, we think we've got some good depth there and certainly some good experience as well. So we're excited about the upcoming challenge against the SANFL.
We've got 9 players that are in the squad from last year's final team, but we've probably got over 15 players that have had state experience, which is great going into a campaign against the SANFL. Absolutely,
and look, the SANFL have been, you know, the measuring stick over the last few years and certainly deserve the #1 ranking in Australia, but you know, we believe we've got a good mix, some young guys who are really enthusiastic about playing state level football and representing the VFL, but you know, we're excited about the prospect that some of our more experienced players have been in some good form early and certainly warrant selection in the initial squad. So we're going to have to pick a side that is well suited to the Port Melbourne ground as well, and we're certainly looking forward to that challenge.
Well, you talk about an experienced lineup, and the back six is probably the most experienced. We've retained the majority of the defensive half from last year's state game. We've got the majority of the VFL team of the year also in that state squad, and great to see the likes of Plemming, Mira, and also Panaza in that team.
Yeah, certainly, and it's good that those players have continued to stick at VFL football over the journey, and we'd like to give them that reward of playing state football, representing the VFL in such a good competition against good opposition, and certainly the SANFL forwards were pretty good last year, and you know, we'll have our work cut out, but hopefully we can put enough pressure on the ball and help those defenders out. But as you mentioned, some of those players have been a long time at VFL level. Plemming coming up for his 200th game this weekend as well. Just a credit to him how he's been able to get himself up, and certainly we'd love to have him involved at this stage again.
You look down the other end of the ground, and it's quite a new lineup down in the forward line. We've got Lowry and Scipione from last year's squad, but some new names in Clouston, who's moved forward at Williamstown this season, and you've also got some young names in Featherston and also Kefford.
Yeah, we're not so sure exactly how that'll play out with our forward structure as yet. We'll certainly be looking at form over the last couple of weeks leading into the VFL state game to see what sort of lineup we'll take into that. Obviously, you know, we certainly think there's enough tools in the competition to put pressure on South Australia, but you know, at the same time we're going to certainly need some pressure at ground level as well, and Anastasio and a couple of the other small forwards that have moved in that area of the ground this year, and lead-up players such as Rowe and Mellington, certainly pushing their case to play in this game. Which will be interesting how it plays out. But yeah, look, definitely some of those players you've mentioned have deserved their spot in the squad, and we're certainly looking in the next couple of weeks for them to consolidate that position.
You look at the midfield, and it's almost a who's who of some of the most talented players going around in the Peter Jackson VFL. You've got Valenti, Jolly, Kane, Pinwell, Cocky, plenty of names in there with plenty of experience.
Absolutely, and look, I think the strength of our side will be probably measured by guys who miss out on the squad. You know, you can go through that squad and certainly see that there's some talented midfielders who aren't in the initial 40 as well. So, you know, we do believe we bat pretty deep in that area of the ground, but you know, that their performance will be measured on the day against another quality opposition. You know, who are pretty strong in that area of the game as well. So, you know, we feel that we're going to have to be pretty good at our contested footy, particularly on that small ground at Port Melbourne. But you know, and some of those players you mentioned have stepped up in that area, not just over this year, but over, you know, the past few seasons. So we'll really look for those players to help give our forwards enough supply.
Having been a former state player yourself, you'll know that leadership's a key. It must be great to have 6 captains of VFL sides that'll be in that initial squad, and plenty of other players in that initial squad that are part of leadership groups across the competition.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, we sat down to pick the squad without that in mind, but that's the way it's turned out. And I think it's probably a little bit of an older squad than last year, although it averages maybe between sort of a 24-year-old mark, and we noticed the South Australians have picked 4 or 5 players over 30, so they'll probably come in with a little bit more experience than us. But to have 6 captains and then a number of players who would be in their leadership groups is really important for us. And no doubt in these big games, when you're trying to get over the line, that's going to be really crucial that we have good leadership through the 22 players on the ground.
And of the 40 that are in the initial squad, must be pleasing to see 10 players that have come from other competitions that haven't played VFL football last year come into the competition and gain selection in the initial squad.
Yeah, absolutely. I think guys off AFL lists, but also guys who have come back from local football. I know Fanning's been back in the VFL, and he's in that squad as well. Featherstone, a couple to name there, but really exciting that we've been able to, as you said before, have some come back from last year's team, some back from last year's squad who missed out on selection in the final team, and some outside that. So we're really looking for form players in our best side, and certainly over the last couple of weeks we'll narrow that down and hopefully come up with a formula that will get us over the line.
And everyone, they're always quick to criticise. They'll look at the squad and think there's some players missing from the squad for this year. Tell us a bit about some of those players that missed out, that might have been in there, but for varying reasons have not been selected in the initial squad.
Yeah, obviously, in terms of an injury point of view and obviously load point of view, we'd like a couple of players to be involved at this time, but unfortunately for us, Ryan Ferguson will be missing over the next couple of weeks in that bye, he's a big loss. He's obviously played for the SANFL as well over the last couple of years and been a really good player at that top level footy. So we'll miss him. But Sammy Oles is another one as well. His young Sam and his partner are just about due to have their first child, but also he's definitely his body to get through every weekend of VFL footy and hopefully for Box Hill's sake through to finals is pretty tough. So look, we respect that those guys have been up front with us as well, and we understand their situation. We do need guys who are ready, able, fit, and willing to play for the state. I don't think we can take out guys who don't want to commit to this as well. So unfortunately, there's a couple there that won't be eligible for selection, and along with some others that are, as I said before, particularly with that midfield. At the moment, we just couldn't put 20 midfielders in the squad of 40. So there is a couple of stiff guys there, but that's the nature of the game, and we'll hopefully pick a squad that is able to be praised by the end of the journey.
Yeah, it'd be great to have some insider knowledge with Andy Collins and Ryan Ferguson giving us the goss on South Australian football and some of the players. But for the VFL fans, there'll be a few players in the SANFL squad that common names, that Panos, Eddie, also Joel Cross in the South Australian squad, as well as some former AFL players in Tambling and also Callanan.
Yeah, absolutely. I think some of the boys have moved over there and played some really good SANFL football, and no doubt they'll be pretty keen to come back and show their improvement as well. And for our guys, it's another challenge. It's another chance for them to be recognised, to deserve some recognition for their good VFL football as well. We're really excited that some of the players, Toby Pinwell, Valenti, these sort of guys, along with Plemming and others that have been involved with the VFL competition for a long time, will get a chance, if they make it through to the final team, to really represent us well on the day. So I'm sure it's going to be a cracking game, and we hope a lot of people get out there for a fantastic game of football between two states that I think respect each other, but probably aren't the best of mates. But we're really looking forward to a good good tight contest at Port Melbourne. You know, the home of VFL football really, and we need everyone to jump on board and give us the support, because we know if it was played at Adelaide, they'd certainly have 10 or 15,000 there cheering against us. So we need to reverse the tables and certainly urge everyone to get there.
Well, Damian, thanks for your time releasing the squad today, and we urge all the VFL supporters to get out there. The VFL versus the SANFL on Saturday, May 31 at Northport Oval, and get out and support the VFL competition. Thanks for your time, Damian.
No worries, thanks. Go Vicks.